All right. So I would love to play a game of free association with you. When I say a word, you tell me what comes to your mind without thinking, just immediately in your head. Healthy food, right? Okay, let's work on that. Hi, everybody. I'm Ricki Heller from rickiheller.com, and I help people on restricted diets learn to love their food so that they can eat healthfully, allow their bodies to heal, and go on and live their best lives. And the reason I thought of this was because I've been thinking a lot about what sort of trips people up when we are trying to eat healthfully. And for so many, it occurred to me that it's because we are just trained in our society to believe that healthy eating is gross, right? And whatever we do, it's sort of like we don't want to eat healthfully. I remember when I had an organic bakery many years ago, and I got a great contract in a health food store. And I was in the front of the store on Saturday doing like little demos and offering people free samples. And as they started to come by, I would say, "Oh, would you like a healthy brownie?" And I knew that my stuff was amazing because I had had it tested by people who didn't, who weren't vegan, who weren't gluten free, all these things, who weren't sugar free. And they were fantastic. Kids, adults, everybody loved the brownies. And I had this plate of brownies, and people would literally look at me, and the fear would come over their face when I said healthy brownie, and they would literally like practically run away from me. It was sort of like, doing this kind of thing. And it occurred to me that we just have this negative association with healthy food, right? So eventually I started saying, "Would you like to try a delicious brownie?" And once they'd eaten it, I would tell them that it was sugar free, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not really the point. The point is we need to change that, because here's the problem. If you are someone who's been told by your doctor to cut gluten out of your diet, or cut sugar out of your diet, or cut eggs out of your diet, or dairy, or whatever it may be, or all of the above plus more, like in my case when I was on an anti-candida diet, then you've already got that association with that way of eating as something terribly negative. And this is why I hear from so many of my clients questions like, "So when can I go back to normal eating?" Right? Or "How long do I have to stay on this diet before I can start eating my normal diet again?" But that's the wrong approach, right? Because that's really vilifying the diet that you have to eat. And so, what I'd like to suggest is that we change that around and we begin to interpret the healthy eating as the good thing. And, a lot of people will say to me, "Well, it just doesn't taste as good. I've tried this stuff. I don't like it." But you also have to remember that we literally, our brains train us to like things even when they're not good for us. So the fact that you currently think that, I don't know, I'm going to make something up, Ben and Jerry's or Sara Lee or Pringles or Betty Crocker frosting, like I used to love, that you think those things taste better than healthy food, that's your brain that has trained you to think that. And here's how I know. For those of you who are smokers or have ever smoked, did you love it the first time you did it? Right? I remember my friend and I in high school, we decided we wanted to be cool and we were going to smoke cigarettes. And I would meet her before school and we'd walk to school together and we'd be smoking these cigarettes and hacking and coughing. And we'd have to stop in the middle of the street till our lungs would clear, till we could breathe again. But we've pushed ourselves through it. And then 6 months later, no problem, right? No, it was an enjoyable pursuit. And in fact, it got to the point in my 20s and 30s where I felt like I needed a cigarette to calm down. Like people say, I needed a cigarette with my coffee. But again, your body initially, or my body and anybody's body who smokes, it knows initially cigarettes are bad for you. That's why you automatically cough. The same is true about unhealthy food. Now, most of us can't remember that far back to remember our first reactions. But the fact is, the first time you ate something that was loaded with sugar and unhealthy fats, you probably didn't feel that great. And it's the fact that sugar is so addictive that kept us going back for more and more until we get to the point where we feel like this is something we need and something that's good for us and something that's helpful to us. But I'm going to suggest that we use our rational brains and that we turn that around, because when we think about it, anybody who has any kind of chronic health condition that requires them to eat a different diet knows they know which foods upset them. You probably know which foods you eat that cause you indigestion, or which foods you eat that cause you bloating, or which foods you eat that cause you to break out the next day, right? You know that, but yet they seem to be appealing in our brains anyway. But if we begin to associate those foods with the actual negative consequences that they create, then we're going to stop craving those foods to the same extent. So, what I would love to see is for people to start telling themselves before they eat those foods, what is the effect of that food? So, when I look at something that's filled with sugar and maybe like a piece of cake that has sugar and gluten, in my head, I'm saying that is going to make you feel like crap for 3 days. Do you want to feel like crap for 3 days? Go ahead and eat that cake, right? That is going to cause you indigestion. And I recently read that when we do damage to the villi, which are the little undulations in our intestinal tract, that's what keeps us absorbing and digesting in a healthful way. When we, let's say, eat gluten and we're not supposed to, and we do damage to our intestinal tract, it can take 6 months for that to heal. So you may not feel it, but if you're eating something that's damaging your digestive tract, you're doing damage for like 6 months. And that's only if you don't eat that food again, right? Is that worth it? Do I want to do chronic permanent damage to my body every time I eat something? So what we want to do is to try to associate the food with something positive, just the way we we thought cigarettes, that made us cool as a teenager, right? We thought cigarettes made us so cool. We were willing to push through to the other side until the point where the cigarettes felt natural. And that's exactly what you need to do with your healthy foods. Keep reminding yourself, this is the cool way to eat. These are the foods that are going to help me to get that job done more efficiently because I'm going to have a clear head and have good energy. These are the foods that are actually going to get me through that breakup better than the ice cream and the coffee, because they're nourishing my body and allowing me to be healthy and for my body to recover faster. These are the foods that are going to allow me to live a long, healthy life that I can go traveling during my life. I can play with my grandkids. I can go on vacation and actually feel good and remember those trips instead of having a memory of me stuck in the bathroom or stuck in the hotel room feeling like crap, right? And the more we tell ourselves the positive aspects of eating this way, the more it's going to feel natural. We're going to be drawn towards it. And eventually you are going to find that your body lets you know which food is good for you. And you're not going to want those unhealthy foods anymore. How do I know this? Because that's exactly what happened with me. Somebody who used to eat Betty Crocker frosting out of the can as a snack on top of sugar donuts half the time is now craving things like kale, and I love dandelion greens, and I love all the vegetables, but that's a huge change in the way I eat and what I crave. I wake up in the morning and I crave something healthy for breakfast. I don't crave the bran muffin with light peanut butter that I used to eat in my 20s anymore. So that's my suggestion, and I hope that's helpful, that if we can actually switch the way we interpret what it means to eat healthfully and turn it into something positive for yourself, then that alone is going to help draw you to those foods. And you're going to find over the years that, over the months and years, that what you crave changes and that what you want to eat changes, and it's going to become a natural draw for you. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please leave me a comment, or if you have anything else that you'd like me to talk about or any questions. I do come back and always look at the comments, so please do let me know what you're thinking. And if you're looking for more support around how to stick with your healthy eating, I have a great guide called 3 Simple Shifts to Stay on Track. And it gives you 3 really easy implementable ideas that you can use in your day-to-day life to help you stick with it. That's at rickiheller.com/3 simple shifts, the number 3 simple shifts. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon.